Hi, welcome back. I'm Hope. If you don't know me, I am 25. I live in Oregon. I love to read, and I am working on my debut novel. There's a snowstorm today in Oregon, so I figured why not get a couple videos filmed. So if you're seeing this along with those other videos and I'm wearing the same shirt, same day. I'm going to be telling you about a couple books that I have had for a while, but I've been procrastinating reading them just out of fear. And again, since they're books that I haven't read out of fear, I don't know much about them besides the story I've been creating in my head to cause me to fear even starting them. The first book I want to talk about is this one, Where the Crawdads Sing. This one I've had probably since it came out. I've also not watched the movie. I told myself I wanted to read it before watching the movie. I think my fear for this one stems from my grandma. I'm pretty sure she read this or she went and saw the movie. She did one or the other, and she told me that she didn't care for it. Um, and she wanted to know my perspective on it. And to be to be honest, I'm pretty sure when I got this, I told her I got it and that I would let her know what I thought, and I never started it. So, Grandma, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'll let you know when I actually do read it. I'll let you know what I think. The second thing I want to talk about is actually a series. And this one is simply just because it's so hyped up and so many people love it. I believe it's a YA series, but it's the Binding 13 series. I've seen so many people comment simply just like the things I would do to be able to reread this again for the first time. And that's a lot of stress. So I'm sure I'll love it. And I don't know. I think it's just the fact that everybody is wishing they could reread for the first time, and it's kind of scary. The next one is actually kind of funny, and it shows that I definitely just buy books without knowing that I'll like them or not. I just recently bought the third in the trilogy, and kind of embarrassing to say, but I have not, as of filming this today, I've not read Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This one is for a whole different reason. At the beginning of this, the first couple pages of this book gives you a quite a long list of trigger warnings, which is great. Love a book that gives you trigger warnings before starting, but it's important to read them. Don't just skip over them. But the trigger warning list is quite extensive for this one, the second, and the third one. I've heard great things, but I'm not sure if you would even consider this dark romance, but there are some, I don't know, I've got a line and a lot of these books cross the line, but I won't I'll read it. I just don't know when I'll read it. The next one is kind of an emotional one. I've heard so much about this book. I fell in love with Hope. However, when I did start this one. I'm not sure how far I got into it, but I was struggling and I did not want to DNF it. So I told myself that I probably just wasn't in the mood, not in the right mindset to read something so um, emotional, painful, and um, gentle. I think they're the characters are in a hospital, and it's about their lives in the hospital. And I'm assuming loss is involved. And I think I just wasn't in the right place to read this one. So out of I am afraid that yeah, this will probably make me cry my eyes out, but I do want to give this one another chance. So I've kept it. I've not tried again, but I did start and I will eventually reread and make sure I finish it. The next one is also a, a book that I started and then was not able to finish, so I just decided to stop and try again another time. It's A Little Life. Now, this one, honestly, most of the videos I've seen people make about this book, they're sobbing. So I know this one will be painful. Um, the only thing that I started to struggle with when I was reading it was there are a lot of characters in this book, and so it can be a little hard to like distinguish who's who. I think if I recall correctly, when I was reading this, I started to get into the groove of like understanding what's happening, but I don't know. I think with like what this book is about, plus the size of the book, I just was trying to read it at the wrong time. I think I was just reading it because it was all over social media and everybody was talking about it. So I wanted to be able to know, to understand what they were talking about. And it just was not the right time for me to read this. So I put it aside, told myself another time. The last set of books I want to talk about is also another series, and um, you may have predicted this, but it is the ACOTAR series. The Court of Thorns and Roses is the first one, and this one is just a personal thing, is personal fear that's making me not pick these up. When I read books, especially series, if I start the first book, then I'm reading second, third, fourth, fifth, however many there is, one after the other. That's just how I read. I know some people, like my sister, will just pick up a book in a series, read the first one, and then read four books of something else before she even returns to the series. That's not me. I don't think I could do that, especially with something like fantasy. With this one, um, fantasy is not my go-to when it comes to reading books. I mean, I'll read anything, I think. But I mean, I have read Harry Potter, so I think that gives me a little bit of credit in the fantasy department, but um that was a long time ago, and I think with this one is just a fear that fantasy may not be my genre, and people have hyped up this book so much, and I want to like it. So I'm afraid that if I start it and it's not my vibe, that um, I'll feel a little left out. But I'm gonna try eventually. Whenever I feel like I'm gonna be able to get through all five of these books at like one after another. So those were a couple books that I've been putting off reading out of fear. Um, I'm sure there are more, but those are the ones that I immediately saw on my shelf and pulled off, especially just for this video. Um, if you enjoyed, like, thanks for watching. Comment if you've read any of these or are also afraid to read any of these. Um, and let me know what your book that you're procrastinating reading might be. But again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.